Word of Sheriff Bianco's run for governor was first reported last week in Politico by California Bureau Chief Christopher Catalogo.
Christopher joins us now with more. Chris, nice to see you on this Monday. Thanks for being with us. What do you make of Sheriff Bianco's entry into the race and what his possible lane could be and his chances, actually?
Yeah, so the thing that really stood out to me today was we had a reporter on the scene who spoke with Bianco, and Bianco was talking about trying to, similar to what a lot of proponents did when they ran Prop 36. This was the measure that Californians voted on and passed in November that really rolled back Prop 47 and stiffened the penalties for several crimes in California. He now wants to roll back SB 54, which is basically in shorthand the sanctuary state law. And so I think he's really starting from a policy perspective that conservatives agree with, potentially even more than conservatives agree with. And so he's really looking at owning that conservative lane. We know in California there's a top two primary, and so he is trying to the top two vote getters advance regardless of who that is, but he is trying to win over conservatives in this race.
Chris, as you know, a Republican has not won statewide office in California since 2006. Of course, the re-election of Governor Schwarzenegger. Do you see other conservatives jumping into the race, or will Bianco be carrying that baton on his own?
Yeah, so we've seen over the last several statewide elections where Democrats have really controlled things, and it's been Democrats who have spent on behalf of a more conservative candidate, like we saw in the Senate race a couple years ago, where Adam Schiff spent money to promote Steve Garvey, the former Dodger, in that race. In this case, there's looking to be a lot of Democrats in this race. And the other Republican who we know of who is looking at this very seriously is the former UK policy advisor and frequent Fox News guest, former host there, Steve Hilton. And so it does look like there'll be a battle on the right. And you know, who wins out there, we'll just have to really kind of see what that campaign looks like. But obviously Bianco running in a county where Joe Biden in 2020 did a lot better. And then Donald Trump came in 2024 and really kind of turned that county around. And so we're seeing parts of the state, more sort of more receptive to the Republican message. It's still going to be very difficult in California, obviously a very blue state.
Okay. Yeah. And speaking of blue, let's talk about the Democrats. What was once a growing field appears to be frozen as possible candidates, donors, and consultants wait to hear a decision from former Vice President Harris. What is your read on what Harris might be thinking?
So Harris has kept things really close to the vest, according to our reporting. She's really asked her advisors and others to keep her options open. She's not commented. We've asked her, several other news outlets have asked her as she's toured some fire damage recently in LA. And it really sounded like she's trying to get a lot of her personal affairs in order. They just left office a few weeks ago. And so that's really still a TBD. Does she go for this governor's race? In which case she would really have to turn around almost immediately and run for president, because those primaries are going to start right after the midterm elections in 2026. That could be very difficult. So she may need to choose one or the other. Another Democrat there, Katie Porter, who lost in that Senate race I mentioned from 2022, the race that Adam Schiff won. She's looking at this very seriously, but unlikely to run if Kamala Harris does. So you're right when you said this field is frozen for now. I think folks around Harris feel like they have until late spring, potentially even into the summer, for her to make this decision. So we might be looking at sort of a frozen field after a pretty fast start from these candidates for some months out.
Yeah, and based on the current polling, which I know you're aware of, she holds a wide lead and she has yet to even declare. If she does enter the race, what do you see happening to the current field? Do candidates fall off?
Yeah, I would imagine that many of them do, particularly the Democrats. I don't think the Republicans fall off. I know that Harris is sort of a motivating factor for someone like Steve Hilton. He said that, Bianco as well. So they would very much like to run against Harris. On the Democratic side, Several folks will likely drop off. We have the lieutenant governor. We have a number of other current and former statewide elected officials. The one person to watch if Harris does get in is former LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa. You know, he's getting up there in years a little bit. Obviously lost to Gavin Newsom in 2018. This could really be sort of his last time to run. You know, the person who wins this race in 2026 could serve as governor for 8 years. That would sort of put it in an unreachable that office, which Antonio Villaraigosa has always wanted, in kind of an unreachable place. And so he might stay in. You remember in 2016 when Harris was running for that U.S. Senate seat when Barbara Boxer stepped down. Antonio Villaraigosa very much wanted to run in that race, and Harris kind of boxed him out early. And so he may stay, and he may give it a go like he did against Gavin Newsom in 2018.
Very good. Excellent insight, Christopher. Thank you.